Coming up on Business Incorporated. Car importers in Kenya rush to beat deadline on used cars manufactured before 2015. Egypt raises stake with 2040 target for coal exit. African airlines show best cargo growth of all global regions. Hello, welcome to the program. I'm Ladi Williams. First off, let's take a look at the markets, see how your money performed at intraday. Major African markets mostly positive. And intraday, South Africa's JSE was in the green. While Nigeria's NGX All-Share Index was the only decliner to slip by 0.03%. The Egypt's EGX 30 rose by almost 1% after about a $200 million loss yesterday on the All-Share Index. Meanwhile, Kenya was up 0.28% on Monday. Meanwhile, it's a different picture for markets we track in the Middle East. They were mostly negative at intraday. In the UAE, the Abu Dhabi index was down 0.94%. Dubai's main index dropped 0.14%. Elsewhere in the region, the Qatari index went lower by 0.05%, while Saudi Arabia's index was the only gainer at the intraday with 0.55% advance. And in Europe, Omicron news continues to dominate as the continent braces itself for what is now an inevitable fifth wave in Germany. The government is mulling new COVID restrictions as the infection rate is expected to spike sharply soon. Well, let's hear more now from Janelle Dumoulin, right there in Berlin. Great to have you, Janelle. So what is the German government telling people to do, going into Christmas holidays?
Well, here in Germany, there really is a sense of deja vu harkening back to earlier times in the pandemic. We're once again hearing messages of restricting in-person interactions, especially around the holidays. They're encouraging testing before family gatherings at Christmas and trying to keep them small. Leaders here in Germany appear to be moving towards saying that only a maximum of 10 people would be allowed to meet privately after Christmas. There's also a push to get even more people to get their booster shots and to continue the vaccination campaign through the Christmas holidays. And of course, a stronger appeal to those who have yet to receive their jabs. In Germany, the rate of vaccination has stayed stuck at about 70%.
All right. Well, still, new approvals like Novavax vaccine, will they help boost the vaccination rate in Germany?
Well, that's certainly the hope. I mentioned that vaccination rates in Germany have struggled with stagnation. You do hear a lot of people say they're uncomfortable with newer mRNA vaccines and the speed with which they were introduced, despite the fact that there's plenty of data now backing up their safety and efficacy. But the Novavax vaccine, of course, uses a more traditional vaccine technology. It's closer to the more classical vaccines that many have been familiar with for a long time. But of course, it's still a new vaccine for a novel virus. As such, many within Germany's health bureaucracy are cautioning that it might not make the big difference that people hope it will. But as Germany struggles to get to the levels of immunity it needs to protect against new variants, then really it can use all the help it can get with Novavax, game changer or not.
Oh, how's Germany's response, been compared to that of other countries in Europe?
Europe's response can be seen, of course, as having a sort of patchwork quality, with some countries like the Netherlands and Denmark having some sort of lockdown. The Belgian government, for example, is considering similar restrictions this week and are set to discuss them tomorrow. France and Spain notably have said they're not considering a wider lockdown for now, preferring to see how the situation develops. Now, these differences in approaches have a variety of reasons behind them. Among those reasons are differing vaccine rates and booster coverage across different countries. But there's definitely a sense here that things can change very quickly, and announcements and assurances that there won't be a return to lockdown have to be taken with a grain of salt, as the continent, not even over Delta, finds itself in danger of being overwhelmed by Omicron.
All right. That's Janelle right there in Berlin. Thank you so much, Janelle. Well, moving on now, the blue economy is an emerging concept which encourages better stewardship of our oceans or blue resources. And recently, Ghana signed the pact with 3 other countries in the ECOWAS region to start a joint fisheries observer and monitoring program in 2022. 3 countries, Togo, Benin, and Cote d'Ivoire. Join us now to understand this pact is Alabi John Kennedy, Managing Partner, Bespoke Business Consulting, right there in Ghana. Great to have you on the program.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you? It's been a while.
Good afternoon. I'm fine, thank you. Well, tell us about this, Joint Fisheries Observer Program and how it impacts the blue economy.
Basically, the Joint Observer Program is set up by the FCWC. When I say FCWC, it means the Fishery Committee of West Africa and Central Guinea. The main aim of this program is to find a way to end the illegal, unregulated, and unreported fishery practices in the West African coast. Now, the basic thing here is that we all know what things are really happening within the West African coast as per the illegal fishing in our waters. We have foreign nationals disguising as locally owned companies going to the waterways and the fishing, and this is costing us a lot. There's the research by the Institute of Security Studies says that we are losing about 20% of the fishes we are supposed to use to develop the economy to this illegal practice. And this is the reason why a Joint Observer Program has been put in place to put measures and regulated measures to be able to fight this menace.
Well, how do you see this program actually, helping curtail this menace?
The program is such a way that they are bringing all the members countries together. We have mainly 5 member countries now. We have Nigeria, we have Togo, we have Guinea, we have Liberia, we have Benin, and we have Cote d'Ivoire. But out of these countries, it's only about 4 countries now that were able to sign the agreement. And they are supposed to come together and put structures in place, to put regulatory measures in place, to put certain political will in place to be able to fight this menace. If not, we are actually losing so much to this illegal practice.
All right, but can you estimate the cost, and impact of illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing practices in the ECOWAS region?
Yeah, in absolute figure, we're actually losing so much. Globally, we are losing about between $10 billion to $23 billion annually to this illegal practice. But when you look at our own corridors, that's the West African region, we are losing about $7.15 billion every year to this. And do you know what this translates to? It translates to about 2.3 million tons of illegal fisheries within our waters. Do you know how this is supposed to help grow the economies? When you look at the number of people employed in this sector, about 3 million people employed directly or indirectly, and they're not having direct access. They're not able to ply their trade within this our waterways. So at the end of the day, it's actually affecting our economy. And we hope that the Joint Observer Program will help to be able to curb this menace.
And I see Ghana actually, tries to observe a closed season when it comes to fishing. What are other countries doing? Do they observe the closed season too?
Yes, that's why I said it depends on the political will of the governments of each country. Some countries are able to identify that this is a huge menace and it is affecting the economy of their country. So they are trying to put structures in place. For Ghana, for instance, they knew and they have tried as much as possible to put certain structures, certain regulations in place to be able to monitor and curb this kind of menace. However, some countries are not really so much into it because they feel that it's not a major part of a revenue-generating avenue for their country. So as it is now, it depends on the political will of each country and how they are able to put certain structures in place to fight this menace.
No, I guess some countries don't understand the value, that's right there. But what do you think, countries in this pact can actually do to enhance, revenue from fishing activities?
Okay, so there are a series of interventions, and I'm sure recommendations have been made to them. It depends on how they are able to take these recommendations and implement them. From our point of view, if there's an harmonized fishery regulations between the committee, between the member country, it will help to be able to fight this menace. If there's a kind of setup of natural fishery register, which means that before the fishermen or any company goes to sea, there will be a register to monitor their movements. There will be a kind of structure in place to deploy vessels to monitor the kind of vessels moving around and roaming around our waterways. This will go a long way to also help. There's one thing I also want to take note, that citizenship, patriotism also helps, because most of these foreign countries that come and practice illegal fishing in our waters, they go through our own citizens to register the company like if it's a local company, and they intend to go on the sea and fish illegally. So if our own citizens, the member country citizens, I mean Nigeria, Ghana, Togo, Benin, Abidjan, and Cote d'Ivoire, if they are patriotic enough to be able to make sure that they don't allow these foreign countries, businessmen and countries to come in and fish in our waterways, it will go a long way to help.
I guess we all have a part to play in this then. All right, John Kennedy, Managing Partner, Bespoke Business Consulting. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Thank you.
All right, thank you for having me.
On commodities market updates, we're looking at instant noodles, a staple mostly consumed by the younger generation that constitute at least 60% of Nigeria's population. The price of noodles in the market has spiked by 66% to 3,000 naira per carton of 70 gram in the last 12 months, compared to alternative food commodities like rice, which was up 3.4%, and Gary, it's up by about 13.8%. Well, let's talk to Favor Ogunraye now, analyst at Financial Derivatives Company. Great to have you, Favor.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we see the price of noodles is up about 66%. That's quite a surge. What do you think is causing this rapid rise in price? Could it be because it's mostly consumed by the youths?
Yes, I agree with you that major part of noodles is majorly accepted by the younger generation. And like you said, this younger generation accounts for about 60% of the Nigerian population. And that itself is increasing as well. So yes, it will fuel the demand for noodles and eventually the price. But the major increase in price that we're seeing now is really not due to that. And, you know, one of the major highlights of 2021 is the global commodities boom. So the price of a lot of commodities went up due to many reasons, which were majorly COVID-induced. And that was really the case for the raw materials used to produce noodles. So I'm talking about wheat and palm oil. And if you look at the price trend of wheat, you see that pre-pandemic, the price of wheat has never crossed the $600 per bushel, but now it's about $775, and that's about 25% increase. And that's a similar case as well for palm oil. I think it has increased by a similar percentage as well. And you know, in addition to that, you also see that noodles manufacturers here in Nigeria also have to deal with the exchange rate pass-through effect, and that as because we need to import these raw materials. So that's in or like aggregate of all these things gave rise to like the increase in the price of noodles that we're seeing now.
All right, and you know, Nigeria is estimated to spend over $2 billion annually on wheat importation, and you know, the CBN plans to spend $41.2 billion to achieve self-sufficiency. You know, given this, you know, the long time frame to achieve this, is it actually, you know, realistic to see that we're actually, you know, we can sustain wheat production in Nigeria?
So CBN's goal is to win off 35% of wheat importation. And if you do a little math, 35% of the wheat imported here in Nigeria is about 1.75 million metric tons. And that will mean that Nigeria's local production of wheat has to increase by about 800% to match that, because we currently produce about 60,000 metric tons. And for me, I think that's and they want to achieve that in the first year. And I think that's quite ambitious. I mean, yes, it is a good initiative because they're also disbursing, you know, high yield seeds to these farmers, which will actually go a long way. But then you also have to consider that, you know, wheat is it has so many, it's a multi-purpose commodity. It has so many, it has like competing uses. And then you also have other structural issues in the ecosystem. One, small farmers have to deal with, the herdsmen crisis, and also wheat cultivation is common in the northern region, which is the hotspot for insecurity. And then you have to deal with logistics and the storage of things as well. So I think the bottom line is it will take a longer period for us to see the desired impact, and even a higher, even CBN might even have to spend more than that.
Have to spend more. Well, with 1.92 million servings as of May 2020, Nigeria is amongst the top 15 consumers of noodles globally, according to World Instant Noodles Association. Is it possible that, it's because of the spike in prices and, consumers switching to other alternatives, the reasons why Nigeria is not ranked higher?
So Nigeria has actually maintained that position, has maintained 11th position for 5 years now. That's from like 2016 to 2020. And if you see within that period, the price of noodles has pretty much been stable. So that should in fact even fuel demand and push up our ranking, but that's not the case. And so we can't say that the price increase we are seeing now is the reason why we are not, ranked higher. And then if you look at the countries that maintain the top 10 positions, for example, China, one of the factors fueling and helping them maintain that position is one, population, and also culture itself.
All right, Favor, which one is your favorite, noodles or spaghetti?
Well, I don't know. Noodles, I say.
Noodles. Okay, I guess you like it fast. All right, Favor Mariah, thank you so much. Analyst of Financial Derivatives Company. Always great to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on now. You see, Kenyan car importers are rushing to beat the 8-year rule on used vehicles being imported into Kenya. 10 days to the deadline, the Port of Mombasa has in the past 3 weeks recorded a high number of motor vehicle carrying vessels, mainly from Japan, as importers are determined to have the units cleared before December 31st. Apart from occasioning losses to dealers and individual car importers, the area stands to lose up to 30 billion shillings in excise duties. The Car Importers Association of Kenya is, however, confident that most of the 2015 units will arrive in the country before the December 31st deadline. More than 80% of the cars on Kenyan roads are actually used cars from Japan that are sold at cheaper prices, averaging 300,000 Kenyan shillings annually. Well, taxation and shipping of these units, however, pushes the price to an average of 800,000 shillings for low-capacity small units and up to 2 million shillings and above for bigger engines. And Egypt is stepping up climate protection efforts with far-reaching reforms, including plans to stop the use of coal-fired power by 2040. According to the electricity minister, 7,600 kilometers of land has been allocated to implement new and renewable energy generation projects in the upcoming few years. At the same time, the minister said Egypt aims for renewables to account for more than 42% of the country's gross electricity demand by 2035. And African Airlines' performance in terms of increased air cargo volumes is the best of all regions in the world, according to a new report by the International Air Transport Association. In October, African Airlines posted a 25.9% increase in cargo volumes compared to the same period in 2019 before the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's not as high as the increase seen in September this year compared to September last year, but still the best annual growth globally. African Airlines saw most growth in air cargo volumes on routes between the African continent and Asia. And Uganda's central bank held its benchmark lending rate at 6.5% as Africa's top Robusta coffee grower maintains interest rates at record lows to spur sluggish growth, weighed down by the pandemic-related disruptions. Bank of Uganda governor said in a statement that the emergence of COVID-19 variants had clouded growth prospects in the country, where oil companies are currently developing huge oil wells estimated to contain some 6.5 billion barrels of crude. Uganda, which grows mainly the bitter-tasting Robusta coffee variety used in blends and instant drinks, imposed a 6-week lockdown in June to contain rising coronavirus infections. The central bank says more stringent measures amid surging infections could further better the economy which contracted by 1.1% last year. Uganda's inflation rates rose to 2.6% in November from 1.9% a month earlier, driven by rising food and energy prices. And outgoing international voice calls made by Kenyans dropped by 8% in the 3 months to September, hit by the new taxes imposed by the Treasury, which made calling abroad more expensive. Data by the Communication Authority of Kenya shows that outgoing international call traffic dropped to 125.2 million between July and September from 135.9 million over the preceding 3 months to June, representing a 7.9% decline. According to the regulator, the first quarter of the financial year 2021-2022 recorded a general decline in international mobile traffic, especially outgoing traffic, due to the increase in calling rates for international outgoing calls following the implementation of a new tax regime in August 2021 that resulted in the increase of taxes from the initial 33.4% to 39.2%. President Uhuru Kenyatta in July assented to a bill that introduced increased excise duty on airtime and data from 15% to 20%, enabling the Treasury to raise at least 8 billion shillings from Safaricom, Airtel, and Telkom Kenya. This extra cost was passed on to the consumers. And that's it on Business Incorporated. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.